not going to say professionalism, but there's something that switches in my mind where I'm like, hey, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
I start
I totally
bullshit. All right, Panda. Well, shit, let's get things started. Thank you so much for joining me here on Eman's Top 3 You Comic Book Day Picks. And this is going to be for October 6th, 2021. Mr. Pandawesome, thank you for joining the show, my friend.
Hey, dude, thank you so much for having me on. Thank you so much. Just because I've been watching you. For whatever reason, like my YouTube had unsubscribed from you, and I know I was subscribed for a while, so I was just like, okay, well, let me subscribe again. And dude, the progression that your channel has taken with the intros and the everything, like you're amazing, man. And don't let anybody tell you that you're not an artist, because that is amazing artistry that you are doing. You are putting together some fire stuff, my friend.
Oh, don't stop. No, not don't stop. Stop is what I'm trying to say. I'm just putting panels together and I'm adding videos and colors and make it splash. It's pretty, what I'm doing is basically an adult coloring book. That's all I'm just panels are already there. I'm just interjecting them with like my own colors.
You color well within the lines then.
Thank you so much, my friend. I love you and I love your channel, dude. Panda, awesome. Look at that, 2 Filipinos up on here. What? Represent. Man, so we're going to be talking about our new comic book day picks for October 6, 2021. And I know off camera we kind of talked about our picks a little bit. I'm going to tell everyone right now, Panda and I do share one book. So this week it's going to be 5 books that we're going to be talking about. And we're going to start with Panda. Panda, my friend, what is the very first book that you're going to go ahead and pick and talk about for your comic book day?
One of the first books that I'm going to talk about is the last book you will ever read. Okay. Synopsis of that is that there's this woman that has written this book that has gone viral, if you would say, or is just become a bestseller. But some things are happening. Some things are happening to people that read the book. They become feral. They become really out of their element, and you start seeing them actually like go zombified and eat people. But then all of a sudden, you see them just become calm. And there's this one panel where you see the guy he attacks his wife and he tears her apart, and then at the very end he just sits down in his armchair and starts reading the book that this woman has written. And right now we're on issue 3, and where we left off on issue 2 was, you know, they're starting to figure out like, okay, this is the book that's the common denominator for all this stuff. And so now they're trying to put all this police detail on her, so this way she's protected, because everywhere she goes for these book tours that she's doing, she's getting attacked because she's doing live readings of the book. So people in the audience are hearing the story, and something just switches, and so she's got some people like actually attacking her, and so she's actually getting into somewhat of a little romp with her head of security. But there's something nefarious about this woman, and I cannot wait to check out what it is in issue 3 and see where this story leads us. So
now, AJ from the C-List Villains, number 1 was actually his read of the week when it first came out a couple of months ago. And unfortunately, I don't know what happened. I wanted to pick it up, but it wasn't in my pull box, and there was no more copies available. So I was like, you know what? It's Vault Comics. Sometimes they're hit or miss. I'll leave it alone. But AJ was like, this is like one of my favorite reads right now. And I trust AJ. And listening to what you just said about this, I'm very interested. This is written by Cullen Bunn, so you know you're going to get a good horror story out of it. Art from Layla Lays.
Oh, yeah.
The art seems amazing. It looks fantastic. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Man, the interior art is dark. It's broody. It's the colors. There's a lot of red, lots of red, and therefore, you know, it plays like a horror comic, but it's this nice drum up of drama that leads up to this horror. It's not like it's straight horror after, you know, jump scare after jump scare. Like, it's an actual man, what am I trying to say? It feels like a movie type kind of feel, like not just like a Jason versus Freddy kind of feel to it, but like an actual, like a drama. Like I said, like there's this slow play to it, and that what some of the payoff is going to be with some of the scenes that you'll see, but lots of black and lots of red, and just the way that they play it out, it's really nice, really, really very well done. And I mean, you can't talk enough about people like that do the lettering. Just the way that they letter things inside this book is amazing too. I believe that letterers don't get enough credit for what they do in the comic industry, because I mean, you can get into a book, but if the letters aren't right, if you can't read it well, it gets lost in the jumble.
Yeah.
And so to have a good letterer along with the writing styles of Cullen Bunn, who is just been amazing. If you guys haven't checked any of his work out, go check it out. Amazing writer. And this book is the same, just very well written, and it's kept me engaged. So I'm just really looking forward to seeing how issue 3 is going to play out, and issue 4, and hopefully I can stay on with it as long as it stays interesting. So I'm just really looking forward to it.
You know what, though? You're right. Letterers don't get the love that they deserve. They can set the tone for how a character is speaking. Like the letterer for Batman, the current run of Batman, whenever Scarecrow talks, like he's got this weird warbly theme going. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's funny. I can totally see him speak like that, and it makes sense, right? And that's the art of lettering. They can see you speak, or you can see them speak, not just through the comics, but you can actually hear it also, which is pretty awesome. I'm interested in this. This book sounds very similar to Death Note. Have you ever watched Death Note?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you write a name and something happens, it totally reminiscent right there. You know what? Number 3, or the last book you'll ever read, number 3 from Cullen Bunn, art from Layla Lays on Vault Comics, Panda. That's a great choice. I love it. I may go back and look for number 1 if it's not too expensive.
You don't have to. I'll send it to you. I got you.
What?
Yeah, I've got a couple copies of the first one. Actually, the real reason why I had gotten into is because it's a Vault comic. So Vault comic always has these black bag issues of covers that they have, and Vault is in the industry, I'm pretty sure, because at this point, like, a lot of their covers look like they're industry covers, and the industry that I'm talking about is that adult themed industry. And so somebody had sent it to me, and I thought that it was a really creepy cover that I had gotten. So I was like, wow, okay, maybe I should actually check it out and read it. And I actually really liked the writing inside the book. So I was like, who did it? I found out it was Cullen Bunn. I was like, what? Yeah. Like, you can't go wrong with this. So I've been picking it up ever since, and I'm looking forward to issue 2 or issue 3. And I have all the other covers for issue 1 and 2, so don't even worry about it. I got you covered for issue 1 and 2.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Well, let's get into my number 3 pick. Now, just let everyone know, whoever's watching this right here, this is in no particular order except for the last one. Our number 1 is our number 1, that's for sure. But we're not saying that these are in any particular order. So number 3 goes to the last book you'll ever read. Let me talk about my number 3 pick. So I really like jumping into number 1s, especially indie number 1s, because you get to start off with a brand new story, fresh story. Start from the beginning to see how it goes, especially if it's from a writer that you recognize. And some of this writer stuff has been pretty good. However, in the last book that he wrote, I was like, all right, I'm kind of done with this, but I'm still going to be giving him a chance. I'm talking about Rick Remender, art from Lima Araujo. Okay. I'm looking at A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, number 1 on Image Comics. This is a new book from Rick Remender, and when I read about this, I was like, this is interesting. This reminds me a lot of, what was that Liam Neeson movie where the daughter goes missing?
Taken.
It kind of reminds me of that in a way. Now I'm not saying it's exactly like it, but let me read the synopsis on this one right here, because it does sound interesting. When an unassuming man stumbles upon a dark web contract assassin's vicious plot to kill an innocent target, he turns himself into one. The professional meets Road to Perdition in this story of a family's unlikely guardian being hunted by rich and powerful men who are used to getting away with everything. It sounds interesting. Like,
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
okay, this sounds like a movie plot. Now, I don't think I'm going to be reading a comic book in this one. I feel like I'm going to be actually reading a movie script, and I'm not mad at that right there.
Right.
You know who Rick Remender is, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
okay. I know there was some issues with Rick and paying his artists in the past. I'm hoping that that's been ironed out. I don't want people to miss out on any good reads or any possible good reads because of something like this. And again, I'm hoping that Rick Remender's got that part ironed out right there. So that's going to be my number 3 pick, A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, number 1. Like, have you read anything about this by any chance?
I have not. Who is it? Who's the company by?
It's Image. It's on Image.
Oh, it's Image.
So
Okay.
it's an indie. It's an indie book, and I know we love our indies, man. Like, we're both indie guys, so I can't wait, man. Like, I'm looking forward to it. All right, Panda, let's get into your number 2 pick, my friend. What is your number 2 pick for your comic?
My number 2 pick is Marvel's Dark Ages issue number 2. If you guys hadn't checked out issue number 1 was mind-blowing, right? For me, I like the titles of things and the premises of things, and I'm just now getting into previews. And so before I got into previews and stuff like that, I heard about Dark Ages. Somebody had just told me a quick synopsis, like, hey, it's going to be a callback to this and that, and they're going to be doing a lot of other things with it. I was like, okay, it sounds good. I'll check it out. Read Dark Ages, loved it, found out it was written by Tom Taylor. If you guys are not reading anything by Tom Taylor, don't read his Batman stuff. But what you can do is read some of his stuff, like Son of Kal-El. Son of Kal-El is something that I had just gotten into the other day, and we're only 3 issues into Son of Kal-El, and the writing in that is phenomenal. And so that translates as well over here to Dark Ages with the writing. The story behind this has been this threat that has been there for way longer than the Earth has been, like the inception of the Earth. Like, he's inside the Earth, right? He's this being that was created by the Celestials to get rid of all the negative things in the universes. And so with him consuming all this negativity, it has changed him. So they went ahead and locked him away in the Earth. And as the Earth has evolved with dinosaurs and all that, like, this thing has been laying dormant in there. And so now it is resurfacing. And so now that it's out there, it has changed the world. They had one last fight with it, and it has now turned the world dark. There's no more electricity. There's no more anything. So what is a world to do when there's no electricity? What are the world's superheroes? People like Iron Man, who is technology based in everything.
Vision.
Yeah, Vision. What do you do when you can't plug in? When you can't recharge? What do you do? And I'm really excited because I've seen some of the concept art for issue 2, and it looks like we're going to be getting a lot of steampunk ideas with a lot of things. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing, where the story takes us, but more importantly, the character designs with everything. Because for me, I'm a very visual person. Right? I can listen to an audiobook, but like, if you put a comic book and you put words in front of it, like, I'm a very visual person. So to see these Dark Ages kind of things, like steampunk, like the character design of Iron Man himself just looks amazing. So I'm looking forward to all of it.
Dark Ages number 2. Let me read a little bit about this one, right? I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about what Dark Ages number 2 is about. Written by Tom Taylor. You said if you're not reading anything by Tom Taylor, Panda, everyone should. One of my favorites, and again, I'm going to go ahead and credit AJ for this. One of my favorite books is 7 Secrets, and Tom Taylor does a better job when it comes down to team up books as opposed to like a single, like one, focus on one person type of book. Like his work on Seven Secrets is absolutely fantastic in my opinion. And art's from Eman Coelho, which is one of the other Stormbreakers, along with Peach, who's done a fantastic job. And if anyone's read any of the King in Black main series books, he was the one that did the art for that. So he, in my opinion, Eman Coelho is kind of like a Ryan Stegman light, and not even that far behind either. Like in my opinion, when I was reading Venom and King in Black, switching the art between those two books, they looked almost identical. And that just tells me how artistic and how creative Eban is, because if he can mimic Stegman and kind of go toe-to-toe with him, you're going to be on point. And the art in number 1
killing it
was fantastic. Yes, the designs in it were fantastic. At the end of issue number 1, where you do see everyone all steampunked out, I thought that was such an awesome final page to Dark Ages number 1. So let me go ahead and read a little bit about it, jumping off of what you already said, Panda. It has been years since the age of technology ended in a single moment, like a switch had been flicked off for an entire planet. Now Earth's heroes attempt to bring humanity together in the darkness. X-Men and Avengers, vigilantes and villains all work together to create something better, but something darker than the night is descending on the world. Our post-apocalyptic world is about to apocalypse.
Which that last panel with him there, oh man, I got so excited because Apocalypse is one of my favorite characters. You know, and that stems from me growing up in the 80s and the 90s. I grew up in the Age of Apocalypse with that like that stylized anime style that they had back in the 90s with the X-Men books. Man, Age of Apocalypse was one of those things that I love just because it's an apocalyptic story where Apocalypse is actually winning. And you know, the storylines that have there, and like once again the character designs with Wolverine not having one of his hands and Cyclops missing an eye because those two clashed against each other, and you know, Cyclops loses an eye to Wolverine and Wolverine loses a hand because of Cyclops. Like that fight was just amazing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Apocalypse is doing, teaming up with the world's heroes and stuff like that. So I'm really excited.
Now, I'm kind of glad I read the synopsis of this one right here, because that final panel that we keep talking about right now, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if everyone was going up against Apocalypse or if they were going to be working with Apocalypse. But now it's been confirmed that they're going to face him. So I'm like, I'm glad. now I'm looking forward to Dark Ages number 2, because number 1, you're recommending it, and number 2, I really enjoy Tom Taylor and Eman Coelho. So this is just something that I'm just gonna have to jump on. I was almost not gonna jump on it. I had the first issue. I'm like, oh, we'll see what happens. But you know what? Reading this and then hearing your enthusiasm, I'm gonna pick this one. So this is gonna have to be picked up. So I'm probably gonna pick this one up right here too.
Awesome.
All right, well, let me get into my number 2 pick. Now we're gonna stick with indie books here. We're gonna be sticking with Aftershock Comics. If you don't know, I'm an Aftershock ambassador to the Bay Area. Selfless plug there. Yes, I know. This book, when Aftershock actually announced it a couple of months ago, had me dying already. I'm like, I'm sorry. What? and this is a book that I am looking forward to. And in fact, I'm going to tell you now, I already have issue number 1. I have a Aftershock Ambassador exclusive cover to this book already, but I haven't read it yet, and I'm really looking forward to it. Now, this is written by Brian, and I want to say Buccellato, and art's from Hayden Sherman, and the title of this book is called Chicken Double number 1. And when I read that, I'm like, I'm sorry. What? So of course I know nothing about this book, and then when Aftershock were like, please do us a favor, read the synopsis, I was like, I'm dying over here. They announced this book I think 2 months ago, and I'm like, I can't wait for it. Now that we're gonna get it, now technically I have it, I should read it. But let me give you the synopsis of this ridiculous sounding book. It's somewhat similar to my number 3 pick, somewhat similar, all right, but stick with me. Mitchell Moss is about as regular as it gets. He's married with 2 children, co-owns a successful chain of Memphis hot chicken restaurants. It's not the life that screams hero vigilante until he discovers that his business partner is in bed with the mob and owes them $2 million. Unfortunately, Mitch is ill-equipped to be a badass. He's just a guy who makes really good chicken. Can he protect his family from cold-blooded gangsters? Absolutely not. Well, maybe the chicken devil can. I'm like, what?
That is awesome.
This reminds me, I don't know, right off the bat, it just kind of reminds me of, I think, which one was it? Super? Where he's just like a regular guy and then he just puts on a costume and all of a sudden he thinks he's this superhero. That's what this book already reminds me of. And I want to know what this is about. I've been reading some ridiculous titles lately. I'm ranting and raving about Campese, and I'm not saying it because that's an Aftershock title. I'm actually saying it because Campese is a ridiculously fun title, and I'm expecting that kind of same ridiculousness and funness out of Chicken Devil, just based off of the name itself. But then based off of the synopsis, it's kind of like, all right, you're an everyday guy until you become the Chicken Devil.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you brought up Chicken Devil because that was almost my number 3 pick. I was almost going to ask you if I could have a 4th because I wanted to put Chicken Devil in there. I read the synopsis and I saw the covers for it. If you guys don't know what El Pollo Loco is, you guys have one of those, right?
We're in the Bay Area. That's all over the place.
Well, I don't have an El Pollo Loco around here, but I know El Pollo Loco because I've gone to California and everything like that. And one of the main things that you know from El Pollo Loco is they love to advertise, and they love putting people in that chicken suit and sending them out to the streets with their signs and spinning them around. And that's what the character design looks like. He just shows this guy holding this chicken head just covered in blood. And I was like, wow, like I want to read this just based on the cover alone. And seeing their cover B that they had with the character design of just the chicken head. Oh man, I loved it. It just the name alone, Chicken Devil. Like,
all right, that's it. That's
exactly.
it. You're getting so we're gonna be doing an exchange here. You're gonna be sending me what are you gonna be sending me? You're gonna be sending me the last book you'll ever. I'm sending you. I'm gonna send you the Aftershock Ambassador exclusive cover of Chicken Devil #1, my friend. You got it. You just because of how enthusiastic. So I'm gonna change this from Eman's top 3 new comic book day picks to Eman's top 3 new comic book day picks and Panda's #1 honorable mention. And I'm gonna put them in letters somewhere around here. That's what I'm gonna end up doing. You know?
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous, and I want everything about it. All right, so that's my number 2 pick right there. Let's get into our number 1, and I will say our number 1 pick right here because Panda and I were talking. And we're like, yes, this has to be number 1. It's a heavy hitter, and it's been hitter after banger after hitter after banger with this writer. Panda, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce our number 1 pick. What's our number 1 pick for
our
new
number
comic
1
day?
pick comes from our boy James Tynion IV, who for whatever reason, as if he's not that good, he's that man, he's that dude. He's been doing it. He has been hitting stuff out of the park with so many other titles, but this one in particular comes from DC's Black Label series, which definitely needs to be on here because of how dark and it is. I mean, for a DC book to not have a single superhero and keep me entertained, man, I'm all in it. And man, not everything has been revealed yet, and we're on issue number 5 this week, right?
Yep.
This is going to be a very, very revealing issue, and I am down for it because I really want to know, what does Walter have in store for everybody? How is he doing all this? Is he some sort of some sort of being that's been there since the beginning of time, or is he some sort of alien, or is he some sort of manifestation of their dreams? Like, is this some sort of fever dream that somebody's having? And these are all the people that he went to high school with, he went to college with, and so now he's fixated on this one character like Walter, you know, because I'm still trying to figure out if the world is really burning around them, or if they're just stuck in this bubble and being toyed with like marionette puppets, you know. Like I'm so for it.
And of course, the book that Panda here is talking about is The Nice House on the Lake, #5, written by our boy James Tynion IV, art from Alvaro Martinez Bueno. This is an absolutely fantastic read, and I said it before and I will say it again, this book could have easily have been on any other indie label. This, in fact, I believe is probably, and I know Mark from Legion of Comics is probably going to argue with me on this since one way or another, but this book right here is probably DC's only, and I'll say that word right now and correct me later on, Mark, I can already hear it, but only indie feeling book. This is their only independently, and I think owned too. I think James Tynion actually owns this one right here.
Yeah, this is definitely creator owned, and he said he would only do it this way if he would have it all to himself. And DC just did whatever he wanted to do because it's James Tynion IV, right?
It's kind of gone full circle, right? Because his first work was on the Capullo Snyder Batman run, where he was able to write for a couple of pages back then, and it full circle he comes back around to DC, and DC's like he's like Tom Brady, where they're like, all right, you won us a couple of championships, here is a check and whatever, I'm gonna turn away whatever zeros you want on it. And that's how I feel DC approached James Tynion IV with this one. They're like, hey, look, please go ahead, whatever you want, it's okay, it doesn't matter, here's a check, just don't let us know how many zeros. And I feel like that's how James Tynion took this book, and he's running with it, and he has everyone intrigued. Now, the one thing I am not looking forward to, and I think it's after issue 6, is we're going to have a long period. There's going to be a long break between seasons. I think it's issue 6 where we're going to get that break, and it's not coming back, I think, until March or April of next year.
Yeah, and I think that absolutely has to deal with Tynion doing his own thing on Substack, with the titles that he's going to bring out there. And it for us as readers that aren't on Substack or subscribe to him in that way where we can get early access to it, you know, just being able to get that easily accessible to you at your LCS, you know, being able to pick up the big 2 like that. And so for a long wait until like March, or what did you say, March or April?
March or April 2022, I think is when it's going to be coming back.
And I don't need a Last Ronin feel to this. Like I want that book like right now. And so I think that's the only frustrating thing, is that we're going to have this long break in between the seasons. But I'm looking forward to seeing how this first arc ends, and what to expect for 6. So
exactly. If he's going to make us wait, now that we know that he's going to make us wait, I'm expecting a Walking Dead mid-season cliffhanger like no other. I just want to throw the book and then pick it up and just cry. That's what I'm expecting out of number 6. But until then, we still have to read number 5. Let me read the synopsis for number 5 right quick. Okay, now this time we're talking about Veronica, the scientist. Now she has one of the longest standing connections to Walter among anyone in the house, and through her work with NASA, she may have insight into who he really is. But what she sees in the stars above the house may append everything she thought she knew. Ooh, that's eerie. Someone who studies the stars and now has doubts as to what she's saying. This is going to be insane. Walter, and it's crazy because James Tynion has even mentioned that Walter's based on him. So I'm really frightened now to meet James Tynion. I don't know if he's an alien. He's definitely a beast because of how many books and how many hitters he's throwing at us. So like I'm worried now. Like if I ever meet the guy, like don't look into his eyes. Just like, here, sign this book, please. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I'm just worried about that James Tynion is gonna make me do some crazy things. Just don't look into his eyes. Though. Hey,
as long as he doesn't turn into as long as he doesn't turn into a flesh tornado, I'm way okay with it.
Exactly. Well, that's it right there, everyone. That is our top 6. We're gonna talk about either 6. There's an honorable mention in there, but that is our top 3 new comic book day picks for Wednesday, October 6th. And I just want to say thank you to my guest right here, Panda. Awesome. Do me a favor, let everyone know how they can find you on social media.
My social media handles are Pandawesome316. You can find me on Instagram. You guys have any questions over anything, or you just want to chill, hang out, just talk comics or talk about life, you guys can find me on IG. That's where I spend most of my time. But the other times I'm on YouTube as Pandawesome316, and I usually do a Sunday mail call and hangout where I put the link out there in the chat for you to join me live. So if you ever feel so inclined to do so, go find me on YouTube and come join me on a Sunday mail call and hangout, where I just get to hang out with the community members, talk comics, and open up things that I gotten throughout the week. And usually it's a pregame before Mark from Legion of Comics is at week's end. So come hang out with me, and then come join me as we go on to Mark over at Legion of Comics' channel for his at week's end stuff. And it's just a pretty big community hangout just Sunday nights. So
everyone's got to join. Everyone who watches this, go over there. Head on over there on Sundays. I know you're not doing much. Oh, hold on. It's football season. Okay, maybe if your team's losing, go ahead and jump on over and watch Panda, and hang out with him during football. Or have 2 monitors on. Have 3 monitors on. You can have the game on and still hang out with Panda and crew. All right, you guys? And then, of course, with me, I co-host the C-List of Villains podcast. We go live every Monday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Eastern, with our show showing up on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app only a few days later, so you can go ahead and listen to us on your way to work when you're fighting traffic out there, because we are absolutely entertaining.
Oh, absolutely.
No, Red is entertaining. You guys got to at least listen for that guy. That guy's fucking nuts. I love him, though. All right. Well, that's it for this show. Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out. Until the next issue. Deuces.